Now to more developing news. Jimmy Kimmel Live will return to ABC tomorrow night.
This after Kimmel was suspended indefinitely last week over comments he made about the Republicans' response to the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Western Mass News reporter Addie Patterson now joins us live in studio with the breaking details. Addie.
Chris and Amanda, Disney, which owns ABC, released a statement today about the late night show's removal. That reads in part, last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. The show was abruptly and indefinitely taken off the air this past Wednesday after Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr and two of ABC's largest affiliate owners, Nexstar and Sinclair, pulled the show off the network over comments Kimmel made in a monologue about the, quote, MAGA movement's response to Charlie Kirk's assassination. The show's removal sparking debate about government interference and freedom of speech between supporters of President Donald Trump's administration and Kimmel, who have been vocally critical of each other over the years. The president even posting on social media that Kimmel's suspension was, quote, great news for America. He also called for other late night hosts to be fired. ABC 40 is owned by Gray Local Media Group, which is not involved in this case. The suspension also coming after CBS announced the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's show back in July. Kimball's contract with ABC is set to expire in May 2026. Reporting live in studio, Addie Patterson, Western Mass News.